Hey all, Tom Moran here from Tom's Big Spiders. So I think for many of us that keep larger collections, one of the issues we have is trying to explain to people that our spiders aren't all brown. I think a myth out there from people that aren't into tarantulas is that the majority of the ones available are just big brown hairy spiders, and that's obviously the furthest thing from the truth. So a lot of times what I end up doing is whipping out my cell phone and showing them pictures of some of the more beautiful species I have. Well, the other day, while trying to explain to a friend of mine about the YouTube channel and the fact that they're not all just brown spiders, it dawned on me that perhaps I could put something together like a video that people could use to show those that aren't aware of the myriad of colors these animals come in. So what I did is sat down, culled some footage, got some new footage, and put together kind of a rainbow list of some of the more beautiful tarantulas out there. Now, full disclosure, there are some species I would have loved to include that I personally find to be amazingly beautiful that weren't in this video, that aren't in this video. It's not that I don't think they're good-looking spiders, it's just I had to kind of limit it down. I picked some of the more striking ones. So, for example, my wife happens to think H. maculata is absolutely gorgeous, and my son happens to think G. pulchra is absolutely gorgeous, and neither of those two are in this video right now because I kind of focused on colors. Perhaps in the future I could do another one and put some of the other ones in it. I also left off some of the brachypelmas that I really wanted to put in because it was just getting a bit too long, so please don't think that those are species that I don't find gorgeous. I have my own list and some of them aren't in this video, but I tried to pick ones of colors and put them in rainbow order. So enough of me talking, let's get into looking at some beautiful tarantulas. And to kick this off, we have Theraphosinae species Panama, or the lava spider. It got its nickname, obviously, because of the fact that you can see there the body has that bright reddish appearance with the black legs. It looks like lava bubbling up through cracked black rock. Just a really unique looking spider, very striking animal. In a moment, I'll flash a picture up of one that I took with the bright red colors showing. And here we are. As you can see, just a stunning spider. One of the few spiders that we have tarantulas to have that reddish color to them. And next up we have the infamous P. murinus, also known as OBT, orange bitey thing, or orange baboon tarantula. These guys are known for having a particularly defensive and nasty disposition, although mine, I have to confess, is quite the sweetheart. But easily, if you love the color orange, one of the most beautiful tarantulas available today, and I think that's what attracts a lot of people to them. The color, I mean, they're obviously something you don't see every day, and that attitude, because I think for a lot of new keepers, it's kind of a benchmark for, look at, I can keep a really nasty T and survive. But they are truly an amazing looking spider. Orange is one of my favorite colors. I've made this very clear over the years, and this is probably my favorite as far as coloration because it's just stunning and kind of matches its disposition because it's got that fiery flame look. I mean, just look at it there. Just a truly beautiful tarantula. And if the color isn't enough for you, they also do a ton of webbing, which makes them really stand out in their enclosures. And next up, we don't have yellow, but we have gold. Harpactira pulchripes, or the golden blue leg baboon, one of my all-time favorite species. You can see the gold body and gold femurs there with those metallic blue legs that really catch the light in a unique way. It almost looks like plated armor when you get it from the right angle. But these guys are amazing spiders, great eaters, fairly fast growers, do a decent amount of webbing, and their temperaments are really good for baboon species. There's one right after a molt. You can see they really are that resplendent. I mean, the colors really do pop that much after a molt. And here's one that hasn't molted yet. It's an older female, but you can see still a stunning spider. The colors are a little bit muted, but you can still see the gold and the blue on the legs. Just an amazing animal. And next up we have EEP Aquipus, one of my favorites. These guys are just stunning. Unfortunately, they are very reclusive. They're burrowers, and I don't see them all that much, so I have to kind of be stealthful when I try to get pictures of them. So I do have some photos of them. You can see they are gorgeous spiders, thick back legs with lots of hair on them, and those golden bodies, just an amazing looking animal. And here we have Formictopus auratus, or the Cuban Gold. These guys are just stunning specimens. As you can see, they really look like they were forged out of gold. The carapace is gold. The femurs are gold. Just amazing looking spiders. And they usually put on these colors right around the 4-inch mark, so you don't have too long to wait. unlike some other Phormictopus species I've kept, these guys are a little different. First off, they start off as brown and not blue. They're a little more reclusive and will hang out in their burrows a bit longer. And they're a little more skittish around prey, where my Cancerides, I could drop in 5 crickets and they would gobble up all 5. These guys will tend to grab the first one, maybe 2, and then kind of ignore the rest for a little bit. But they still grow fairly fast. They reach a decent size where 6.5, 7 inches is the norm. And you look like you have an actual golden spider. Now, this one will give us a little bit of the gold and the green for our next category. This is Phormictopus species green femur, obviously because of the green femurs on them, but notice that golden carapace, and right after they molt, the hairs on the abdomen are red, so I used to jokingly call them the Christmas ornament spider because they have all the colors of Christmas. But as you can see, they're just an amazing animal. There's just something about green on a tarantula. There aren't many out there. You'd think there would be because it would be more of a camouflage than, say, some of the blues coming up. But there just aren't. But this one is just, after a molt, they are ridiculously good looking with the green popping off of the femurs, the golden carapace, the red, and they're huge. I have one now that is pushing 7.5 inches, and like most Phormictopus species, they are fast growers, and there's a still shot of it. Just an amazing looking animal. And here's its cousin, Phormictopus full green. Again, a lot of confusion about the different green Phormictopus. And this one, you'll see in a moment, after it hardens up, it picks up some of the green on the carapace. But the green is going all the way down the legs there. This is the first molt that this one was actually showing the green. There it is later on. You can see some of the green in the carapace. What'll happen is, under light, they'll look more of a black, but you put a light on them and you see that they're a dark, rich green, like a forest green. I have a thing for green tarantulas. Again, there aren't that many out there, so I'm super excited to watch this one mature and pick up more of those green hues. Again, this is a larger spider. These guys will easily get 7.5 inches or so. Really good appetite, good growth rate, and, you know, there's not too many green ones out there, so definitely recommended. And here we have one of my female Pisa Lothario rufulatas. I don't know how these guys went under my radar for so long, but I didn't realize they were green. And unfortunately, this one isn't popping here, but I'll have a picture of it right after it's molt in a moment. But they do have green with some light green and yellow highlights. Just an amazing animal. And they get huge, supposedly up to 10 inches or so. So big spider, green spider, put the two together, it's a must-have. They are obviously very fast. Mine haven't been particularly defensive, but remember, Pisa Lothario have really potentially nasty bites that can have symptoms that last up to a year after the actual bite. And in a moment, we'll flash over, and I'll have a still shot of mine right after. That was her right after a molt with the camera. Just a gorgeous animal. There's nothing more to say there. Now, moving into the blues, we have one of the first blue spiders most people see, which is the C. cyaneopubescens, or the Gbb green bottle blue. What can you say that isn't spelled out just by looking at her? They've got the green carapace, so we got a little of the green in there, the blue legs, and the fiery orange abdomen. I mean, we could have stuck her just about anywhere, but easily, I mean, in my opinion, one of the most gorgeous, and it's almost a spider that's got so many colors on it that you don't believe it's a true tarantula when you first see a picture. This is one of the ones I was fairly convinced that somebody had just photoshopped up the first time I ran into a picture. I looked up green bottle blue, didn't know my scientific names back then, and then tons of pictures of these guys popped up. It blew my mind. And I remember calling my wife over Billy and being like, you got to look at this thing. And we couldn't believe there were actually tarantulas this color. The good thing, this is one of the only ones on the list that's actually could be considered a beginner species, although they are very fast and will kick hairs. They are great eaters, grow pretty well, and are really easy to take care of. And here we have Dilictothele diamantiensis, or the Brazilian Blue Beauty. Many will call it a mini GBB, although that's an unfair comparison because although they do have similarities, the green and the carapace, the reddish hairs on the abdomen, and the blue legs, they're two totally different animals, and many will point to the D. diamantiensis as being the prettier of the two because, as you can see there, those colors really pop, where the GBB, you got to get them under a good light. I love them both. I really don't care, and I'm not going to pick a side in the argument, but just an amazing spider. Like the aforementioned GBB, these guys are prolific webbers, which is great because it helps them stand out when they're on that white background. But as you can see, they're just a gorgeous animal. They are a little smaller than the GBBs. GBBs will get to be about 5 inches or so. These guys like 3.5, 4, so a smaller species, but just totally gorgeous. And here we have Ornamental Sosme, or Brazilian Blues. Look at that grab. I love these guys. Although the blues aren't quite as bright as the previous spider, you can see it's a dark, rich blue with the red abdomen. And again, after a molt, they tend to be more brilliant. I have video in my opening of one hunting that had just molted, and you can see how bright those blues are. And with any animal on this list, obviously, right after molt, they're going to be much more vibrant. The further they get from the molt, the more dulled out they would be. There's one that's actually, I just rehoused. You can see those blues are just amazing. And they tend to attract a lot of beginners, but people need to have a heads up that they can be very, very skittish. Mine will throw up threat postures without the slightest provocation. You just breathe on them, and there's a threat posture all over the place. And they can be a little bit high-strung, so that's something people need to be aware of. But still gorgeous spiders, and obviously sporting a lot of that blue that most keepers love. And here we have Pisa Lothario Metallica, or the Guti Sapphire Ornamental. The first time I saw this one, I was convinced it was fake. I had seen pictures of other Pisa Lothario species, and I saw the blue one pop up, and I turned to Billy, and I'm like, oh, somebody photoshopped this one. Well, nope, that's a real spider, and I think a lot of people have the same type of introduction to the spider where they can't believe it's something that beautiful can exist. But it does, and there we have my communal of them. There are currently 9 in there, and they're doing well, which makes it even cooler because now you just have a sea of blue with a yellow. There's one directly after a molt that is not altered whatsoever. It really is that blue, and coming up, there's video of it to prove it. That's just with the light on it. One of the most stunning spiders, I think. It combines that fractile pattern of the Pisa Lothario with every keeper's favorite color, the blue. Keepers just love the blue spiders, and just a truly stunning, amazing animal. All right, so I had a very difficult time trying to figure out where to put this spider on the list because, as you can see, she has a lot of colors, and they're not particularly blue. However, I had this footage of my mama with all her babies, and the babies are one of the most brilliant blue slings you'll ever get, so we decided to stick her in the blue. So there we go, Carabina versicolor Antilles pink toe, I believe is the common name. The babies start off just a stunning metallic blue for several molts, just one of the most beautiful slings you could possibly raise, and it gets better. They start putting on some more unique colors like purples and greens, and eventually you get one that looks like that fluffy female right there with the green carapace, the legs that are almost like a fuchsia. I don't even know how to classify it, but just an amazing spider. This one is one that shows up on some of the beginner lists. The biggest issue is the care. They're a little less forgiving with husbandry mistakes, but with the proper care, and there are good, care guides out there, you can do well with them. And there are some pictures of mine. Look at that spider. It defies logic that something like that can exist. And we can't talk about blue spiders without talking about Monocentropus balfouri of the Socotra Island blue leg baboon. Got that one out. What can you say? There's a picture of the female. They have that tannish body with the blue legs and the pearlescent bluish carapace. Just a gorgeous animal, and they're one of the few true communal spiders, at least in captivity. And you can see there they're interacting. The males are running around trying to breed with the females. The males are stunning as well, with the blue running all the way up even to their femurs, with the blue metallic carapaces. Just some of the most beautiful spiders you can find. Temperament-wise, they're pretty laid back for baboons. They will web a lot, and they can live together, which is something you usually can't do with the majority of species that are out there available and the majority of species on this list. So obviously have to put these guys up there. For many people, these will be a good first old world species. And here we have Cheiropegopus Levitus, or the infamous Cobalt Blue, which for many people is the first blue spider they get because they are readily available, and females that are sporting that blue color are usually easy to come by. Unfortunately, don't have great footage of this one because it is very reclusive. Here's some footage after rehousing, and my female is obviously in need of a molt here, so those colors aren't popping quite as much, but these are stunning spiders, and obviously what gives them their name, the Cobalt Blue, are those blue legs. I saw one of these for the first time about 20 years ago, and it blew my mind that there was actually a blue tarantula. Luckily, I didn't get it because I wouldn't have been ready for it at that time, because at that point I thought all tarantula bites were no more than bee stings, and these guys are old worlds and can put a hurting on you. And although they are very shy, if you catch them out and about and startle them, they can be defensive. And speaking of shy and reclusive, here's my Lamprope Elma Velocipes female. Not a lot of footage here because, again, this is the first time I was actually able to catch her out and about in about 3.5 years. But gorgeous animals. Although they're called Singapore Blues, they're more purple, but hey, who cares? They're just stunning regardless. And there's a still shot of her there. Easily one of the most beautiful spiders, so lithe and elegant on the market. And here we have one of my favorite spiders from Mikta species, Dominican Violet. These guys were originally sold as Caudus Violets, which was, they were misnamed. But I have two females. This is the darker one. Notice the pinkish purple on the carapace and the darker purple on its body and legs, which isn't showing as well as I'd like here, but just a deep, rich purple. And here's the other female that was a little bit lighter in coloration. So this one had more of a pinkish fuchsia carapace with the purple going down the legs. This is in one of need of a molt. When she had just molted, these colors were ridiculous. It's actually, I used a picture of this that'll pop up later as the header on my YouTube page, but just amazing looking animals. And this is one of my favorites, again, to show people who think spiders are just ugly. There she is right after a molt. I show them these and they have to at least admit that the colors are beautiful, and it usually gets people open more to looking at more pictures of them. So there she is there, and there's that purple, just an amazing looking creature. And unfortunately, I don't have any more footage of this guy, but this was my Pamphobeteus species Duran. This was actually the female at about 4 inches. Unfortunately, the female lost this coloration and became more brown, but the male, during his final molt, was the most stunning and vibrant tarantula I think I've ever kept. There'll be a photo. There he is. That was the male. That's untouched. That is a stunning creature. Unfortunately, he passed away. The female is now more of a brown coloration, but I was never so happy to get a male in my life. And last but not least, we have Haploclastus diva Metha. What can you say? Just look at this spider. These guys came onto the market a few years back, and immediately the hobby was abuzz because there's just nothing quite like them. So sleek, so metallic looking, and obviously they have those pinks and purples. I wasn't even sure where to put this one on the list because it has so many different colors. There's one that is about to eat, and you'll get to see some of its speed. Unfortunately, these guys are still quite expensive, and they are not really a beginner species due to the fact that they would have a very medically significant bite or very potent bite, and the fact they are ridiculously fast. I've seen these guys move so quickly that honestly, before I even twitch my hand, they've already bolted out of a burrow, grabbed something, and gone back in. But there's a picture of mine out and about, and you can see the blues and the purples and the pinks. There's one there. During a rehousing, there is just nothing like them. Now, this is a burrowing species, so unfortunately you won't get to see it as much as you probably would like, and it should be noted that the females, when they get a little bit larger, they darken up quite a bit. Males may as well, so they don't keep these colors, unfortunately, forever, but still, they still end up being stunning adults, and as slings and juveniles, you have something that looks like this one here, which is definitely not too shabby, and something that when you show people pictures of them, they have to admit, at the very least, the coloration is beautiful. All right, I hope you enjoyed that. Again, if your favorite isn't on the list, my apologies. I have so many to choose from. I've kept over, I think right now I'm over 200 species of tarantulas I've kept, and I usually get good footage or at least some footage of all of them, so I kind of had to limit it down. And then there were some I didn't have a lot of footage of, but I knew people would be expecting to see them. So I did the best I could. But anyway, hopefully you enjoyed going through this and seeing some of the ones I featured. And hopefully if you have somebody that says, hey, tarantulas are ugly, I don't understand how you could keep them. How do you keep 20 different brown spiders? You can show them this video, which would probably help to explain that there's a lot more to them than just being brown. So anyway, that'll do it for this one. If you enjoyed the video and would like to subscribe, you can click up there, or if you want to catch more of my videos, they'll be around here. As always, love getting comments. I answer every single one of them, and if I don't answer a comment, please call me on it because it means I probably missed it. That's all for now. Catch you guys next time.